finite time on this earth and you're only giving me a pop of joy?
When I think about the way we used to be, when I think about the things it took.
So I've been making this series on my channel, 20s Toolkit, for a while now, all about things I've learned in my 20s, and there's been something that's featured in every single video, but I've not yet addressed. The fickle fabric on my body, my wardrobe, my clothes. The internet has no shortage of style guides and ways to style things and things to buy, but does it tell you what you actually will wear? Well, no, because that's a personal decision and there's no way I'll be able to advise you on that, but it is surprising to me how many things I acquired in my 20s that I genuinely thought I would have forever, that after a few months realised weren't for me. And also things I kind of felt a bit meh about when I got them, but have been around now since I was about 15. Yes, I do still have items in my wardrobe from when I was 15. I've worked in corporate environments, I've worked in arty environments, I've been a size 10, I've been a size 18. The fashions have washed in and washed out. My style has, I mean, evolved is a very kind way of saying it, but my style has definitely kind of changed over the years. And yet I have been noticing some patterns of things that stay around and why they do. Before I even cared about the environment, to be honest, I have always been shopping in charity shops purely for the financial treat of paying £1 for a cardigan, and what a cardigan she is. But even if you're accumulating stuff in a sustainable way, it's really good to work out what you're actually buying, what actually works for you, because at the end of the day, if it's not going to work in your wardrobe, you're pulling it out of circulation for other people, or you're having to ship it off and send it back or sell it on Depop to somebody else. Plus the emotional turmoil of the whole thing. I don't know about you, but I kind of think of clothes as my little garden of children, the poor unfortunate souls. And I get like genuinely attached to them, and when something wears out or stops fitting or stops having the ability to fulfill its duty in my life, it's sad, it's sad. I'm also super excited to be bringing you an ethereal, non-physical, non-shippable, non-wrappable sponsor for this video, Skillshare, which I'll talk about later in the video. But onto the tips. I've accumulated 10 tips about how to build a wardrobe in your 20s that you will actually wear. And impossible feet, perhaps, but I already have impossible feet, 2 of them. These feet, I got them measured. They're size 5 lengthways and size 7 breadthways, and I still walk around on this earth. So if that doesn't qualify me to achieve the impossible, I don't know what will. On with the tips. When you're looking for style inspiration, lean into your long-term loves. Whatever trends are going on or celebrities I'm admiring, I found that actually my style is always inspired by musicals, period dramas, vintage fashion, particularly the 50s for me. Because those things are my long-term loves, feeding that into my style is gonna give more longevity to my style and my taste. I'm gonna love those things for longer. Billie Eilish comes and goes, but the sound of music is forever. It could be the 60s or the 70s, or a certain celebrity like, say, Helen Andrez, who has a more consistent style. If you love something because it's inspired by something like that you love long term, it's much more likely to stay in your wardrobe for longer. And look cooler, in my opinion. It just looks cooler. Perhaps it's like a tartany kind of grunge, or like classy, preppy sportswear kind of thing. When I'm looking at an item and I'm trying to work out whether I should buy it or not, I do think about those things. And then also inadvertently, if it fits into some of those categories, it's more likely to fit with the rest of my wardrobe. Really take a moment to look at the design. And I don't mean the sleeve length or the pretty pattern. I mean like in the way that you design a good car. Durability, safety, practicality. For me, the 2 big postcodes of contention, let's call them, areas of concern, are here and here. Now, for my clothes to last a long time, and really for me to actually appreciate and enjoy them, I need to be able to wear them more than once before washing them. I'm gonna level with you, that really means how tight is it on my armpit. I realised that tops that go like this, the technical term, instead of tops that go like this, ooh, or just tops that graze like this, woo, tops that hug me here, I have to wash them after like 8 hours maybe. And maybe that makes me a sweaty Betty, but so be it. So actually, when I'm thinking about buying durable clothes, this doesn't matter so much for jumpers because I'm usually wearing a layer underneath, but it really makes a huge difference to how long my clothes last and how much I really love them if they're in that second category and they don't graze my armpits. Another example is my waist measurement. Now, I mean, really for anyone, your waist is gonna fluctuate as you change and grow. But particularly as for me, as a person with PCOS, fun videos about that above. Because of my hormone imbalance, it means that if I eat a little bit more or a little bit less, my body weight can change quite alarmingly rapidly. And that means that over the years, I've not been able to depend on my clothes to consistently fit me. Very annoying, until I realized that wrap skirts were a thing. Oh my God, why did this not occur to me? Going for a wrap waist or an elastic waist can really make sure that you can wear your clothes whatever your size is and make you not feel like shit when your body does change. And I've always found that the clothes that I keep around the longest are the ones that are adjustable at the waist, especially if the material doesn't have any elastine in. A good fitting waist size can be very precise and therefore, in my opinion, not really built for living human bodies. If you really love something that doesn't have an elastic or a wrap waist, consider whether you can put a belt with it. Maybe it comes with belt loops or you can attach belt loops. And actually the third part of the body that I forgot to mention was the thighs. Whether I invest in a higher price item can really depend on whether that clothing goes between my thighs or over them. Between my thighs means that at some point in the great battle for life, the thighs will win. This is a straight up data collection fact from the last 10 years. If a piece of clothing is either loose fitting or a skirt and doesn't rub between my thighs, it's way more sensible for me to spend more money on that item because it will inherently last longer. I'm way more likely to invest in a skirt piece than I am in a pair of jeans or a pair of trousers. Essentially, consider where the main touch and friction points are on your body for clothes and make sure that informs what you put in your wardrobe. I love this skirt from Gung Ho for that very reason, and also this top from Know the Origin. It's kind of like your classic Steve Jobs style polo top. You probably recognize it from some of my videos. To the humble human eye, it may look like the average turtleneck, but no. There is a very slight bat wing in the armpit, which means that it doesn't actually directly touch my armpit. This genius design means that I can wear it multiple times without having to wash it. Better for the environment, better for my time management, and better for the longevity of the item. I'll be able to keep it for longer, and I have because of that. The devil is literally in the details. He's there, waiting. Here's one I feel quite passionately about. Don't get it just because it's a classic. If you grew up reading 90s and noughties magazines, you have in your idea these staple parts of your wardrobe that you're supposed to have down. A little black dress, a strappy top, a perfect pair of navy jeans, a white t-shirt, a flattering stripy top. These are supposed to be basics that you can build a wardrobe around, but what kind of world, what kind of city, what kind of Babylon are we building? If you have the same staples in your wardrobe, you're going to have the same wardrobe as other people. The wise man built his house upon the sand. Make it changeable. Switch it around. Do have staples in your wardrobe, but they don't have to be everybody else's staples. Like I said, I don't rate a basic pair of dark blue jeans. You won't catch me in a pure white t-shirt. I don't really have any need for a black strappy top. Those things can feel like investment pieces because you're supposed to have one and it's supposed to be the perfect one, but really closely assess whether it's an essential one for you. You know? And I found that when I do love a classic, so for instance, I really like nautical, like stripy tops, but I bought so many of them over the years and got rid of them again because they bore me. Either the colours got faded or I chose something a little bit meh, just because it was flattering and fitted me well. I realised that I do like this nautical stripy top thing, but I needed a little bit, like a little twist, a little bit extra. Now I only have 2 stripy tops. This one has like a nice tie at the bottom, which I think is really cool, and it's also a second-hand one from Whistle, so I know it's gonna last a really long time. I've probably had this for about 5 years and washed it over 100 times. And the second one is this one, which has these really cool bell sleeves, a turtleneck, and a kind of ruffle bottom, and I think it's way more interesting and goes with my more whimsical vintage kind of slant than your perfect stripy top would. So don't get it just because it's a classic. A classic to whom? Beep. because we are living in a material world and I am a material girl. I used to not really care what material my clothes were made of. Genuinely, I didn't. But then I got into my mid-20s and I was like, we are reviewing the situation, because I realised some very key things. 1, rayon, an incredibly hard fabric to care for. 2, I would probably never become a person who likes ironing. And 3, I'm probably going to be renting damp flats for the rest of my 20s that don't have gardens or any room to really air my clothes. That meant that when buying secondhand, synthetic material was my friend. You learn to be able to feel from the texture of a material whether it's going to be able to dry like lightning fast. It is more of a gamble to be able to tell whether something will dry flat or it will need ironing, but that's generally the reason why I steer clear of most non-synthetic shirts. I do own some linen, but that's because I don't really mind how it looks when it's a little bit crinkled. I think it looks kind of lived in and cool. And I'm also very wary of getting attached to or spending lots of money on t-shirt material in general, to be honest. Most t-shirts just won't last that long. They stretch out of shape, they bobble, they wear, and I only ever really buy them secondhand now because I just don't think that they are worth it. Same goes for t-shirt material dresses, trousers that are in that t-shirt material. I generally don't think they're very sustainable as a thing. There's obviously a hierarchy of quality there, but I also think maybe we're fighting a losing battle. And then one time I did actually invest and spend quite a little bit on a fair trade t-shirt. It was from Free People and it's kind of still like a little bit faded and a little bit misshapen and not really my best thing. So I learned the hard way. It's also worth thinking about material when you're buying it new from a sustainable perspective. Stuff that's made out of bamboo is ideal and stuff that's made out of synthetic plastic, not so good. Now when I do buy synthetic material, I make sure I buy it secondhand. I also think there's quite a bit of an argument to be made for unexpected design bonuses. For example, this kind of material, I want to say it's called chenille, but I'm not sure, but it's that kind of incredibly 90s dries very fast kind of material. Also doubles up as a glasses cleaner. It's like wearing a glasses cloth wherever you go. It's genuinely changed my life, and that is no small feat. Also, this leather top, while looking very flashy and cool, also is great because it's wipe clean. It's essentially like wearing a bib for people who can't eat their food without spilling it down them. Like a Katniss themed tablecloth on your boobs. Incredible, incredible. The next thing I learned was that I needed to be prepared to upskill. For me, it wasn't really enough just to unlearn clumsy habits around clothes accumulation. You have to be prepared to replace that absence with a something, with a skill. Just like being a plant parent or learning how to put oil in your car, I've realised that being the caretaker of a wardrobe takes a little bit of learning. I've started really slowly, kind of trying to see my wardrobe not as this like static possession that I own, but something that's my responsibility. It's a skill. I can get better at curating the stuff I own and looking after the stuff I already have. Which brings me to the sponsor of this video. When I first learned about Skillshare, it was through the lens of stuff like web building, design, Final Cut Pro, that sort of thing. But I was kind of only getting some of the story. Turns out they have thousands of classes on loads of different kind of skills. Activism, poetry, writing, freelancing, and some really helpful classes on practicing minimalism and upcycling. You might have seen the video on my very beginner's attempt to sew, but now I've started using Skillshare to level up my wardrobe a bit and build on those very, very shaky skills. And I've got no shortage of classes on visible mending, embroidery, and even how to make a wrap skirt from scratch. A great starting point for mindset mending, that's what we'll call it, is Erin Boyle's class on everyday minimalism. It's a really comforting, practical class that covers topics that I found really helpful when I'm applying them to my wardrobe. She talks about tapping into discomfort, patterns of consumerism, priorities over rules, and learning to value the stuff you already have. Plus a very good pep talk on gift giving, which I'm guessing I'm gonna have to revisit during this holiday period. Most classes are an hour in total, come in small bites and chunks to fit into any schedule or any, in my case, attention span. There's a community of literally millions of people on there and it's less than £10 a month. So if you use a free trial and you decide to stick around, It's hopefully not going to break the bank. Plus, we love a purchase that lasts a lifetime, doesn't come wrapped in plastic, doesn't need to be shipped to you. As you might have noticed, I very rarely do sponsorships on this channel, so when I agreed to this one, you better believe it, I wanted to make sure there was something in it for you. The first 1,000 people to use my link in the description will get a free trial of Skillshare Premium. So if you want to be in that number, I hope you're fast on your buzzers, because when they're gone, they're gone. So genuinely, thank you to Skillshare from the actual bottom of my heart for supporting the channel, whilst also helping me and potentially you slowly unhook ourselves from the capitalist apocalypse. A Venn diagram that is very rarely possible. Upcycling or being able to fix the stuff that I own has been an absolute game changer for my heartbreak when it comes to getting rid of stuff. Slowly I'm learning to repair, adjust, and even dye some of the clothes that I just can't keep white. And I really think we can switch up our attitude to clothes when we think about our wardrobe as a garden that we have to learn how to tend to. Check on the map where you live and buy accordingly. I always have to check myself about who I'm taking advice from and where in the world they are coming from. Where in the world are you coming from? I'm not being funny, but if you're a Californian blogger and you're trying to tell me what to put on my staple wardrobe, you're just not going to be any help to me. I live in Britain and personally I only need one bikini, if that. One pair of small shorts at a push, and summer dresses that don't also go with tights just aren't welcome in my wardrobe at all. That's a personal boundary for me. If you live in a really hot climate, perhaps that advice is reversed. Maybe you only need one winter coat, if that. And it's also really important to remember when you're buying sustainably where you're living, if you're buying something that's made out of recycled bottles but is being imported from the other side of the world, it might not make as much sense as buying something made out of like ecologically sourced cotton that's from down the road. Remember that your wardrobe doesn't live in a vortex. Drop a pin in your wardrobe and see where it lies on the map. Denim jackets. Why do we need these in our lives? Why are they always on the list? It's impossible to find one fit. You can't roll them up in your bag. And I actually, controversial opinion, don't think they go with as much as people make it out that they do. They're not actually that versatile. Instead, what I have is this army jacket I got from a brand called Milk It, who used to rework offcuts of old factory fabric and make them into new garments. This one's a kind of twist on a classic because it has a little frill at the bottom, and I really like it because it's way more breathable, rollable, interesting to look at, durable, and it's easy to wash. I'd say that some kind of jacket for you might need to be a staple, but reject the idea of the denim jacket if it doesn't work for you. Maybe look for an army jacket or another kind of thing. Jeans! I would really argue that they shouldn't be a staple. I spent the early part of my 20s on a very serious, reverent search for the perfect pair of jeans. And now I'm 30, I've kind of realised that they don't really exist. I've spent so much money and time hunting them out. And actually, most jeans make me feel awful. They break up the figure of my body in a way that I don't always really like, and there's the aforementioned crotch problem. What's the point in spending so much money on jeans when they're just gonna wear at the crotch? I have completely stopped replacing jeans when they run out of steam in my wardrobe, and the only exception, a jean that comes in way more exciting colours than either black or navy blue, and that I feel is actually cut for my body, are the Addison Lucy and Yak jeans. So we have a pair of them, and for now, that's your lot. I'm happy. I hereby release you from the mission of trying to find the perfect jean. And the last one is neutrals. I always thought that investing in neutrals was a really sensible thing to do. I got this pair of black dungarees because I thought I'd wear it for years, but actually once I got this rainbow pair of dungarees, I completely abandoned the black ones. I literally never wear them. Your staples don't have to be neutrals. I find that this, because it has all the colours on it, goes with everything, and I've become a lot more comfortable lately with colour blocking, combining even similar colours and just messing around with it a bit. I think that's way more my style, and actually for me, investing in neutrals seems to be a massive waste of money. Don't shoot the messenger. It's just truth. Truth hurts. I don't know who needs to hear this, but plan to stay childish. If your style is a lot more like mine, I think it's worth investing in colours and prints, even though it's the opposite of what some people might recommend. I will always love a lovely bright colour and an obnoxious print. And I think as long as you buy them in kind of classic silhouettes that you think you're gonna like for a long time, that make you feel good and comfortable. And then I think colours are a really sensible thing to consider long term for your wardrobe. A lot of advice that I've read is all about building this neutral wardrobe and then adding a pop of colour for the season. And I'm like, a pop? Is that all we get? We have a finite time on this earth and you're only giving me a pop of joy? What the fuck is this? So yeah, if you have a taste like mine and you like the stuff that I wear, then I would encourage you to set aside that kind of advice and follow your nose when it comes to those statement pieces. I don't think that everybody does mature into a more neutral colour palette. It's okay to plan to stay a little bit silly and childish. If you love it, if you truly love it, buy two. Hear me out. How does she know that you love her? How do you show her you love her? I don't know, sometimes you just know. Once you get to know your style a bit more, and moreover just the things that you know are functional and you're gonna reach for a lot, I have found great truth, longevity, joy in owning two of a thing, usually in different colours. But once I've learned how to style something, it's so much easier to plug that in when you have two of it. Perhaps you bought one a while ago that's fast fashion. Odds on, there is a double in another colour sitting on Depop waiting for you. It also avoids the heartbreak when you lose one or you rip one or you stain it. It allows me to enjoy my clothes more because I know I still have two in circulation should I want to climb over a style on one and I'm like, oh, I don't want to get cow poo on my dress. I would far rather buy two of something I love than go hunting and spend loads of time and money trying to find something else that I love equally but is completely different. And finally, this might be a little bit of a controversial one, but fuck trainers, man, fuck them. The fact that we think it's normal to be like, wow, my trainers lasted 3 years, incredible, so sustainable and good value for money. I'm like, what? While there are like some trainers that will be more durable than others, for everyday use, I've completely stripped trainers from my wardrobe. Just the very nature of the trainer, the fact that it's like fabric and rubber, just means that it's gonna age so fast, get so grubby and be so hard to clean that they're genuinely just not a sustainable option for me anymore. I have a pair of plain black Doc Marten shoes that I wear on all the occasions that I would have worn trainers. Apart from when they're broken, I can take them to a cobbler and he's not gonna look at me weird. If you get a pair that's right for your feet, they can feel as comfy as trainers. And at the moment, the only pair of trainers that I own is the pair that I've featured before in videos that again, I got from a charity shop, and when they're gone, they'll be gone. I won't be replacing them. And these, which are my running trainers that again, is it gross, but I got from a charity shop. I put them through the wash and I gave them a spray. And these are my, I mean, admittedly quite horrendously gross running trainers. That's something that I wish that I hadn't spent money on my 20s is trainers, and I won't be spending money on it in my 30s because for me, the ratio of joy just isn't high enough for the ratio of clearly a waste of money and wears out so fast that it's just heartbreaking. Do you know how many pairs of Converses I've been attached to in the last 15 years? I remember every one, like ex-lovers that left me. That's it, that's all my tips. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to click the link below for your free Skillshare trial and join me in trying to accumulate less, fix my own crap and be less of an absolute wally about clothes. Ever thankful to the Gumption Club for making these videos possible. More videos here on clothes related stuff, and if you want to learn more from me about the climate crisis, you can click here. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, frog snug out. Fashion.